All right, so get ready for this because today we're diving deep into a topic that always gets people talking:
Oh, I can only imagine.
the world of attraction between older men and younger women.
Now that's a dynamic that never fails to fascinate, for better or for worse.
Yeah, and we've got a really unique source here that takes a totally different approach.
I'm intrigued already.
It's not about those tired old stereotypes or giving dating advice or any of that.
So what's the angle here?
This source dives into the psychology of it all, the underlying factors that actually drive attraction in this specific context.
The why behind the what sounds fascinating.
And just to be super clear up front, we're not here to judge or tell anyone what to think.
Right, just exploring the ideas.
Exactly, we're laying it all out on the table, seeing what the source has to say, and letting you draw your own conclusions.
Love that approach.
So one of the first things that jumped out at me, and this was a bit of a surprise, was how they talked about confidence.
Confidence, huh?
Yeah.
You'd think that would be a given in this conversation.
Yeah, but not in the way you might expect.
Okay, I'm even more curious now.
It's not about arrogance or some over-the-top alpha male persona.
So it's not that look at me, I'm the man kind of vibe.
Nope, not at all.
Interesting.
The source calls it quiet assurance.
Quiet assurance, huh? I like that.
Have you ever heard that term used in this context before?
You know, I haven't, but it really resonates with me. It suggests a depth of character, a sense of self that goes beyond surface-level bravado.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes it so intriguing.
So how would that quiet assurance actually play out in, say, a real-life dating scenario?
Well, imagine you're on a date and things go a little sideways, life happens.
Oh, I know those dates. The restaurant's messed up the reservation, the movie's sold out, those kinds of things.
Exactly. Now, someone who lacks that deep-seated confidence might get flustered, maybe even a little annoyed, the type.
Yeah, we've all been there, that feeling of, oh, why is this happening?
But this source argues that a man with that quiet assurance, he'd handle those bumps in the road with grace.
Smooth sailing, even when things get choppy.
Right. Maybe even crack a joke about it, suggest a different plan, all with a sense of ease.
It's like those unexpected moments actually become an opportunity to shine, to show those qualities that might not be so obvious otherwise.
That's a really interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about it that way.
And I think from a younger woman's perspective, that can be incredibly attractive.
Oh, absolutely.
She might be at a stage in her life where a lot of the guys she's encountering are still figuring things out, maybe a bit unsure of themselves, part of that whole coming of age thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So to see that quiet confidence in an older man, it can be really refreshing.
Almost like a breath of fresh air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It suggests a level of stability, maturity, and that ability to handle whatever life throws at you, which, let's be honest, can be pretty appealing no matter what your age.
That's a great point.
And it plays into that idea of security, feeling safe and secure, which I think is a fundamental human need.
Absolutely. That feeling of, I've got this, even when things get a little crazy.
Right, which brings us to another key insight from this source.
Hit me with it.
Emotional intelligence.
Okay, that's a big one these days.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But this source argues that it's absolutely crucial when it comes to attraction, not just in this particular dynamic, but in any relationship, really.
So remind me, what's emotional intelligence again, and why would it be so vital here?
Well, think of it as being aware of your own emotions and being able to manage them.
Got it.
But it's also about tuning into the emotions of others, being empathetic, understanding where they're coming from, and responding in a way that makes them feel heard and validated.
So it's kind of like a two-way street.
Exactly.
You're in tune with your own feelings, and you're also attuned to theirs.
And that's where that deeper connection comes in.
So it's more than just being, nice or polite.
Oh, way more.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Okay, imagine a woman's sharing a concern or a problem she's facing, something that's really weighing on her.
I'm picturing it.
Now a guy with high emotional intelligence, he's going to listen attentively, ask insightful questions. But here's the key, he's going to avoid jumping in with solutions or judgments right away.
That's where a lot of guys, myself included, might stumble.
It's a natural instinct to want to fix things, right?
Totally. But what you're saying is sometimes it's more about creating that space for her to just feel heard.
Precisely. And that can be incredibly powerful, especially for someone who might be used to guys dismissing their feelings or trying to dominate the conversation.
It's almost like you're saying, I'm here for you, I see you, and I'm listening.
Exactly.
And that speaks volumes without you having to say a word.
And that, my friend, is where that emotional intelligence really shines.
All right, so we've got quiet assurance and emotional intelligence. Two pretty solid building blocks. What else does this source highlight when it comes to attracting a younger woman?
Well, they talk a lot about the importance of rapport, that sense of connection and ease you feel with someone, when you just click.
I get it, that feeling of being on the same wavelength.
Exactly. And while shared interests are definitely important,
Yeah, you gotta have something to talk about.
they really emphasize the power of humor.
Humor, really? Why would that be so significant, especially when you've got an age difference?
Because a good laugh transcends age.
Yeah.
A well-placed, witty comment, or the ability to find humor in everyday situations.
Yeah, those shared moments of laughter.
They create a sense of playfulness, of shared joy, and that can bridge any generational divide.
I can definitely see that. If you can make someone laugh, it's like you're instantly breaking down those walls and showing that you're not taking yourself too seriously.
Exactly, and this source even suggests taking a genuine interest in her world, her hobbies, her sense of humor, even if it's different from your own.
So even if it's not your thing, you're open to exploring it, showing that curiosity.
Absolutely, it demonstrates that you're open-minded, willing to step outside your comfort zone to connect with her.
And that can go a long way.
It's all about that genuine connection.
All right, this next one really caught me off guard. Leadership.
Leadership, huh? I bet people have some preconceived notions about what that means.
Oh, for sure. But I have a feeling it's not what people might initially think.
You're right, it's not about being bossy or controlling or trying to dominate the conversation.
So what's their definition of leadership?
They describe it as a subtle art of taking initiative, of guiding interactions with a sense of purpose and direction.
Okay, I'm starting to see where they're going with this, but give me a real-world example.
Sure, let's say you're planning a date. Instead of that vague, what do you want to do?
Yeah, that can be a conversation killer.
A man with that leadership quality, he might suggest a specific place with confidence. Something like, I know this great little cafe downtown, let's check it out.
It's assertive without being aggressive.
Exactly, it shows he's comfortable making decisions, taking the lead, which can be really attractive, especially if she's used to guys who are more passive or indecisive.
And it circles back to that sense of stability and dependability we talked about earlier.
It all ties together.
This is all making a lot of sense. So far we've covered quiet assurance, emotional intelligence, the power of humor, and this unique perspective on leadership. What else does this source delve into?
Well, they don't shy away from the importance of physical presentation.
Now, I'm guessing it's not about trying to look younger or fitter than you are.
You're right. It's about self-respect, taking pride in your appearance. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself.
So what does that look like in practice?
Things like dressing well for your age and body type, grooming, maintaining good hygiene, it all shows that you care about how you present yourself to the world.
Like you're saying, I value myself.
And that can be incredibly attractive. It's a reflection of your self-worth.
And it ties into that idea of fitness too, right?
Absolutely. It's not about being a gym rat or having six-pack abs. It's more about showing that you prioritize your health and well-being.
So even if it's just going for walks or doing some light exercise, it's that commitment to taking care of yourself that matters.
Exactly. And from a younger woman's perspective, it can also signal longevity and vitality.
Interesting that you're someone who's going to be around for the long haul, both physically and emotionally.
It all feeds into that sense of security and stability that we've been talking about.
Wow, I'm really starting to see how all of these pieces fit together. It's like this source is painting a holistic picture of what genuine attraction can look like, moving beyond those superficial assumptions.
You're getting it, and we're just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll be exploring even more nuanced aspects of this dynamic, like the role of storytelling, the power of touch, and why patience might just be the most crucial element of all.
Sounds intriguing. Can't wait to unpack all of that. Stay tuned, everyone, for part 2 of our deep dive into the world of attraction between older men and younger women.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the fascinating world of attraction between older men and younger women.
Yeah, I have to say, this source has already thrown me for a loop a few times.
Oh, tell me about it. It's definitely challenging some of those conventional notions we have about this dynamic.
It's like they're peeling back the layers, going beyond those surface level assumptions, and getting to the heart of what actually creates that spark.
Exactly, and this next topic is one that's especially intriguing, and to be honest, it requires a lot of nuance.
Oh, I'm all ears laid on me.
Storytelling.
Storytelling. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What's that got to do with attraction?
Well, you might be thinking, what's a bedtime story going to do to make me more appealing? But this source makes a really compelling argument for why it's so important.
Okay, I'm hooked. What's their take?
They believe that stories are this incredibly powerful way to connect with someone on a deeper level, to reveal who you are beyond that initial first impression.
Right, to show your depth.
Exactly. But think about it. We're hardwired to respond to stories. I mean, look at the history of humanity. From ancient myths to modern movies, stories have always captivated us.
True, they draw us in, make us feel something.
They engage our emotions, spark our imagination, and help us relate to each other on a much deeper level.
Okay, I get that. Stories have power. But how does that translate to building attraction, especially in this context, with an older man and a younger woman?
Imagine you're on a date and you're sharing a story about a trip you took, let's say, to Italy, the land of romance.
Sounds like a good start.
Now, the source emphasizes that it's not just about listing the places you went, I went to Rome, Florence, Venice. It's about bringing those experiences to life.
Paint a picture with words.
Exactly. Use vivid details, sensory descriptions, make her feel like she's right there with you.
So instead of just saying, I went to the Colosseum, you'd describe the way the sunlight hit those ancient stones, the echoes of gladiators battling in the arena, almost like you're transporting her back in time.
Now you're getting it.
And even more importantly, the source stresses the power of vulnerability in storytelling.
Vulnerability. That's a tricky one.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought confidence was key in attraction. Isn't vulnerability kind of the opposite?
It might seem that way, but the source argues that true confidence comes from being able to embrace your vulnerability, not hide from it.
Okay, I'm listening.
Sharing a story about a time you faced a challenge, made a mistake, or felt a certain emotion, it allows someone to see your humanity, your depth. It shows that you're not afraid to be real.
So it's about letting your guard down a little, showing that you're not perfect, and that's okay.
Precisely. And that can be incredibly attractive, especially to someone who might be used to more guarded or superficial interactions.
It's like you're saying, this is me, take it or leave it.
And that authenticity can be incredibly refreshing.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got confidence, emotional intelligence, humor, leadership qualities, physical presentation, and now the power of storytelling. What else does the source dive into?
Well, buckle up, because this next one is probably the most delicate to discuss. And that's touch.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a topic that can easily be misinterpreted.
Absolutely. But before anyone jumps to conclusions, let's be crystal clear. This source is adamant about respect, boundaries, and consent being paramount.
Okay, good. I was about to say that's crucial.
It's non-negotiable, so with that foundation in place, let's explore what they have to say about touch in the context of attraction.
All right, I'm all ears, but tread carefully.
They argue that appropriate touch can be a powerful way to build intimacy and connection. But here's the key. It's a gradual process.
Slow and steady wins the race, right?
Exactly, and it always needs to be in tune with the other person's comfort level.
So we're definitely not talking about anything forceful or overstepping boundaries here.
Absolutely not. The source suggests starting with subtle, non-invasive touches, like a light touch on the arm during a conversation or a brief pat on the back when offering congratulations.
Just those little gestures of warmth and connection.
Exactly, and as the relationship progresses, if it progresses, those touches might evolve into things like holding hands or a hug.
But again, only if it's clear that both people are comfortable with it.
100%. It's a dance, not a sprint. The key is to be attuned to the other person's signals, to respect their boundaries, and never, ever pressure them into anything they're not ready for.
It's all about that mutual respect and understanding.
And I think that's great advice, not just for this specific dynamic, but for any relationship, really.
Couldn't agree more. It's about being mindful, respectful, and understanding that intimacy is built over time, not forced.
Well said. Okay, so we've got storytelling and the nuanced art of touch. What else does this source highlight?
Hit me with it.
They dedicate a significant portion to the importance of cultural and generational awareness.
Oh, that's a big one.
They argue that it's crucial to be sensitive to the fact that someone from a different generation might have different experiences, perspectives, and even ways of communicating.
I think it's easy to forget that sometimes we can get so caught up in our own world, our own generation's way of thinking, that we assume everyone sees things the same way.
It's a natural human tendency. But the source stresses that when you're dealing with an age gap, it's especially important to be mindful of those differences.
So it's not about trying to change who you are or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about showing genuine curiosity and respect for her world, even if it's different from your own.
You nailed it. It could be as simple as taking an interest in a show she's watching, a book she's reading, or a music genre she loves, even if it's not your cup of tea.
Showing that you're open to learning about her world, her perspective.
Exactly. It's about bridging that gap with understanding and empathy, not trying to erase it or impose your own views on her.
It's like you're saying, I see you, I hear you, and I respect where you're coming from.
And that can go a long way in building a genuine connection.
Okay, we've covered so much ground already. Confidence, emotional intelligence, rapport building, leadership, presentations, storytelling, touch, and now cultural awareness. Is there anything else we need to unpack from this source?
There's one final takeaway, and it might just be the most crucial element of all.
Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it?
Patience.
Patience, huh? Okay, tell me more.
The source emphasizes that rushing things, especially when there's an age difference, can be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I can see how that could create pressure, insecurity, and ultimately damage the potential for a real connection to develop organically.
Exactly. Building trust and a strong foundation takes time, especially when you're navigating those generational differences.
It's about enjoying the journey, not just racing toward the destination.
Well said. They argue that it's crucial to allow the relationship to unfold naturally, without forcing it or trying to fit it into some predetermined mold.
That's such a valuable reminder, and I think it applies to any relationship, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Whether there's an age gap or not, patience, respect, and that genuine connection, those are the cornerstones of any healthy, fulfilling relationship.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has been such an insightful deep dive so far.
I'm with you on that.
We've really gone beyond those superficial assumptions and explored the complexities of attraction from a psychological and emotional perspective.
It's been a journey, and guess what? We're not done yet.
There's more.
Oh yeah, in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to tie all of these threads together and explore what this all means for building meaningful relationships, regardless of age.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. Can't wait to see where this goes. Stay tuned, everyone, for the grand finale of our exploration into the world of attraction between older men and younger women. And we're back, wrapping up our deep dive into this fascinating dynamic attraction between older men and younger women.
The source has really given us a lot to think about, hasn't it?
It has, and as we've been going through all these insights, it struck me how much of this applies to relationships in general, not just this specific age dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a roadmap for any relationship, really.
Exactly, like that quiet assurance we talked about, that inner confidence.
Yeah.
That's attractive to anyone, right?
I'd say so. It's about knowing yourself, being comfortable in your own skin.
And not letting those little things rattle you.
That's the key, that resilience, that ability to handle whatever comes your way.
And emotional intelligence, that's another one. Being in tune with your own emotions and the emotions of others, that's essential for any kind of connection.
No doubt about it, whether it's romantic, friendships, even in the workplace, emotional intelligence is a game changer.
And what about storytelling and vulnerability? I used to think those were things you should avoid, especially early on.
Oh, I know that feeling, like you have to present this perfect image.
But this source really flipped that on its head.
It's about being real, authentic, letting someone see the real you, flaws and all.
And that can be scary, right?
For sure, it takes courage, but it can also be incredibly liberating.
And when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, it creates space for the other person to do the same.
That's when that real connection starts to build, that feeling of, I can be myself with this person.
That's a powerful thing.
Absolutely. It all comes back to respect, authenticity, that genuine connection we keep talking about.
This source has really emphasized the importance of seeing each other as individuals.
Breaking free from those stereotypes and expectations.
Meeting each other where we're at.
Appreciating those differences, those unique experiences and perspectives that each person brings to the table.
I love that it's like an invitation to approach relationships with an open mind and a willingness to learn and grow together.
Continuously evolving, discovering new things about each other and ourselves.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of not just attraction, but relationships in general.
It's been quite the journey, hasn't it?
And, it's given me a sense of hope. Like, there's so much possibility out there when we approach relationships with intention and authenticity.
Couldn't agree more. It's about being present, being open, and embracing the beauty of human connection in all its complexity.
Beautifully said. Well, to all our listeners out there, take these insights, these tools, and apply them to your own lives, your own relationships.
Be confident, be empathetic, be curious, be patient.
And most importantly, be yourself.
Because when you embrace your authenticity, when you approach relationships with an open heart and a willingness to connect on a deeper level, amazing things can happen.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep diving deep.